I call the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
As has been the case since New Zealand First was created over 21 years ago, the core principle of our party is one of love for our country. We in New Zealand First are proud of New Zealand, and we believe we have a duty to protect it from all enemies. We believe there is an historic obligation to protect our culture and our heritage, and this obligation requires every member of our party to advocate in the strongest possible terms for a strong defence force and for the rule of law and for safe and secure borders. Only if these requirements are met can the country develop according to the will of the New Zealand people. We have a unique culture and heritage, and we as a party believe that it must be preserved and strengthened no matter what the cost. We believe that the primary concern of our or any responsible political party is national security. And we take national security seriously all of the time and on all policies. Now, Mr. Speaker, New Zealand First opposes this bill for a number of reasons. First, we agree with the concerns raised by the New Zealand Law Commission on this bill, and note that while improvements have been made in the Select Committee to some areas identified by the Commission, many areas leave much to be desired. Second, this Parliament in 2007 removed from the Crimes Act the crime of sedition. There was one party, and one party alone, that opposed this repeal and voted against it. That party was New Zealand First. The crime of sedition is still needed now. It simply must be a crime as it was when we had sedition on our books, which was, quotes, to incite, procure or encourage violence, lawlessness or disorder, or to incite, procure or encourage the commission of any offence that is prejudicial to public safety or to the maintenance of public order, end of quotes. Its repeal was ill-conceived, ill-considered, ill-founded by the very people today who stand up and say, trust us, we are your sentries and guardians and protectors. What's their record? And many of those who are responsible for repealing it are right here in this House. Now, we will move in the committee stage to reintroduce the crime of sedition. Third, we did not have enough confidence or trust in the security and intelligence services, given some of their recent offences and serious shortcomings, to allow these organisations such widely increased powers of surveillance. Let's not forget the case of Rajesh Singh. Mr. Singh is a former Fijian government minister, democratically elected by the people of Fiji. His government was overthrown by Frank Bainimarama in the military coup of 2006, and he, Mr. Singh, fled to Auckland. In 2012, his premises were raided by the SIS and police. The pretext was that he was about to engage in a foreign offshore terrorism act. Now, what was interesting about this case is that as he was about to be raided, he received a text message from a senior army officer in Fiji telling him that he was about to be raided. I have seen that text. How on earth did a senior army officer in Fiji know that the New Zealand SIS were about to conduct a raid on Mr. Singh lawfully living in New Zealand? And the subsequent actions of the SIS and police during the raid is cause for grave disquiet, as does the case of Mr. Tony Fullman. Mr. Fullman had his passport cancelled by the Department of Internal Affairs on the advice of the New Zealand SIS on 17 July 2012. Why? Because he also was alleged to be about to partake in a foreign act of terrorism. The claim was without any merit, and within a year the government had backpedaled on its decision and wrote to Mr. Fullman saying he could now have his passport back, and, because they've always been very charitable, this government, he wouldn't have to pay for the application or replacement fee.
Oh, that's nice.
Now, does that not make you feel good?
Yeah.
Then, of course, the case of the GCSB and Kim.com. How on earth could the GCSB not know that .com was a New Zealand resident, or the Prime Minister not know he's living in his electorate? And when exactly was the Prime Minister made aware of .com and the GCSB raid? And he has never admitted foreknowledge at all. I didn't know. Here he goes again. Know-nothingism from the expert of know-nothingism, Nick Smith. There's a smell around this But let's be frank. What this bill is really about is much wider surveillance powers, and the Prime Minister has been covert about it all the way until just after the election.
Yeah, exactly.
June, no worries, no engagement, no concerns, a long election campaign, one of the longest we've seen in modern times, never mention it. But he's been running around offshore making promises to all and sundry. And now he's been deliberately evasive with the New Zealand public. The government or others say they are all concerned about security. We have seen time and time again the problems that uncontrolled immigration policies create. But what's their response? Never to do a thing about it. From Paris to London to even Stockholm, we've seen riots in the streets, honour killings, terrorist attacks and terrorist plots. Now in 2005, I asked the Minister of Immigration on the case of one Asha Ali Abdili, a Muslim refugee from Somalia. I asked the Minister, quotes, is he confident that Asha Ali Abdili, the refugee sickness beneficiary whom he ordered an inquiry into last year and who has a string of criminal convictions, is not a threat to the New Zealand community? If so, why? End of quotes. He said she wasn't. Then 3 years later, she tried to hijack flight 2279 from Blenheim and attempted to get the pilots to fly to Australia. They refused and bravely fought back along with passengers on the plane, eventually subduing her. But in her attempt to hijack the aircraft, at knife point, she wounded both pilots and one passenger. She was sentenced to 9 years at New Zealand taxpayer cost. But this sort of repetitive behaviour and know-nothingism of who we're bringing here, we in New Zealand First are sick of, and we're not going to have people get up in this House and all of a sudden be the new centurions and guardians of our society. No one in this Parliament or in the media can possibly say that New Zealand First is not tough on security and for our national defence. Oh, Wiki says he's got no idea who he's brought in from the Middle East. And they encourage them in here in their thousands. And there's the Jamie Lee Ross sitting over there saying, we are weak. Look, ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance, Mr. Jamie Lee Ross, is not bliss. And the fact is, no one's going to believe you. Now, we in New Zealand First take the issue of terrorism and the ISIS very seriously all of the time and on all policies. And we have known all year, not just after the election, we have known all year about ISIS. Don't those people watch the international broadcast, the media, and all the advice coming out of the Middle East? Or is it blind ignorance in the research unit all they rely on? Or the Prime Minister's assurances? We have known all year about this threat, and that radical Islam is a growing threat as well. We have known that for a decade. So what's so new now? The fact is, we want our immigration system tightened up. We want our border security tightened up. I don't want to hear that we've got 20,000, give or take 2,000 overstayers here in a modern computerised age. I don't want to hear we don't know what's going on. I don't want to hear that I'm the only guy that can find a person that came out of Iraq who was the former agrarian minister. And none of the lawful authorities in this country could find it. Or for that matter, any of these people now posing today. The PM cannot be trusted. The SIS was caught playing dirty politics, spying on the most senior opposition MP. The PM is still not honest on the imminent deployment to Iraq of our armed forces. We know that our troops have been already told that by end February, March, they'll be off. And he's still denying it, and the Minister of Defence is in this House denying it as well. More seriously, they put this law up at breakneck speed with the fastest change I've ever seen in this House on a matter so seriously, rammed it through a select committee, and they think we're going to comply. Now, there may be parties in this Parliament at the moment on this matter that look alike, sound alike, and have got the same record. But it's not our record. It's not New Zealand's First record. And we know this bill came as a result of a review, which we were never briefed on. And now another review is coming next year, which no doubt will have no role in. And in the meantime, we're asked to cry havoc and let loose the dogs of Nazism when it comes to people's homes. The surveillance. When you've got video surveillance, is it 50 metres, 500 metres? All these people are swept in. and too many people are supporting this legislation without knowing just how technically wide and unfair it can possibly be.
David Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.